Hello knitters. Okay, this video is specifically for my Vineyard Mystery Knitalong people. But if you're interested in learning how to hide all your yarn ends and carry them up the side of your work in an applied I-cord edging, you might like this video too. Okay, so at this point, I have two colors attached. That's two balls of yarn, and I don't want to cut them because I know I'm going to need them later. And I hate sewing in ends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to encase all of these strands in the edging here. You can see it's got like a little bit of a rolled look, and it looks the same on the back because the first 3 stitches here and the last 3 stitches over here are knit with an I-cord technique. Applied I-cord edging is what it's called. So I'm just going to start now and show you this particular way. I'm going to add in a third color, magic. Okay. I have another video about adding in new colors and weaving in ends. You'll be able to find that on the channel as well. So for now, I'm just going to hold the tail in my non-knitting hand, and the working yarn is loaded up on my knitting finger. And I know I'm going to want this to go under those strands later, so I've already got it set up like that. But if you start with it on top, that is also fine. Okay, so I'm just going to start knitting. 1, 2, 3. Those are my I-cord stitches. Okay, and then because I-cord edging is actually made with like a knit or purl row, and then on the next row it's slipped, these stitches tend to get tight, like they compress vertically, but I don't want a tight edge on my shawl project. I want it to be nice and stretchy. So I'm actually going to build in some extra rows in the I-cord. I'm going to call it a double I-cord, just because we're doing 2 rows of I-cord before we get into the middle of the project. So to make a double I-cord, you knit your first 3 stitches, slip those 3 stitches back to the left-hand needle, and if you notice, I'm just slipping them straight across, like there's no twisting involved. The needles start tip to tip and they go straight through the tunnel. There's none of this reaching around to the other side thing going on. Okay, because I just want them all to stay with their right legs in front and not get twisted. And then I did all that, and now they're loose, so I'll just tuck them up again. Okay, so now my 3 stitches that I've knit are back on the left-hand needle, and I can knit them again. But I've got all these yarns here. If I just knit them again, I'd be leaving all these yarns dangling below, but I want to hide them. So I'm going to pick up my ball of yarn, and I'm going to pass it under and come out at the right at the bottom. Okay, so we're kind of using a big counterclockwise motion here. So it goes under and then comes out over here. All right, so now it's at the right. I'm going to ignore all those colors and just pick up the working yarn that I just started with. So there it is. Okay, that's how they cross. So these are on top. The working yarn is coming out at the bottom right behind the work. And then I'm going to knit again. So I'm going to knit 2 stitches. Oops. Don't want the pink, and then tug. And if I do that every row, knit the first 2 and then tug, then I get a nice even tension in my I-cord edge across the rows as well. Okay, so now those are attached, and I'm going to just finish knitting this row so I can show you how it works on the other end too with a double I-cord. Oh, and I'm totally forgetting to weave in my tail as I go. Look at that. Okay. Oh, do I go back? Do I go back? I'll do it on the next stripe. Okay. Because I can pull this out and start it again later, but I don't want to bore you to death on the video. Okay, so we're at the end here. You've got 3 I-cord edge stitches here. So for this particular pattern, when you get to the end of the row, you slip those 3 stitches. Slip. And we're slipping them purlwise the needle tip to needle tip as if you're purling, because that keeps them. See how the right leg's in front? And then I move it over and the right leg is still in front. It just moves them without changing them at all. Okay, ooh, except for when they fall off, but that's okay. You just pop back on there. Good. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate the work, start my next row. And I'm going to do a double I-cord edging here with the wrong side facing me. So it's a wrong side, so I'm going to purl. So you see how when you purl, oh, you can really see how the I-cord works. See how the strand comes in front of all those 3 stitches? So you purl 2 and give it a tug. And then now, that's how you get like that nice little circle, because it's actually like a tiny bit of circular knitting attached to your project. Okay, I digress. So I've got my 3 purled stitches. I still have the yarn in front because I've been purling. And then I'm going to just slip these 3 stitches with the yarn in front back to the left-hand needle. And I'm going to purl them again. And that gives me a nice little double stack on this particular row. It's just double stacked at the edge to keep the I-cord from getting too tight vertically. Okay, and then the next row I'm just knitting now. So I'm going to knit back to the beginning of the row. And I'll do it again with the next color so you can see how it works progressively. Almost there. Here we go. Okay, so I've got my 3 stitches left with the yarn in front. And you know, I was knitting, so I actually have to bring the yarn forward. I'm going to slip the last 3 stitches with the yarn in front. Okay, that's that. So now I can turn the work and you can see what it looks like. Cool, eh? Alright, so now we've got 3 balls of yarn attached. And I'm going to add another one. This is Ghost. All these yarns are Riverside Studios yarns. I teach knitting classes in Ottawa, and Kat's Riverside Studio is a local indie dyer that we all love, and she's made these gorgeous colors for this knit-along. Okay, let's see. So I'm holding the tail in my right hand. I'm ready to knit with my left hand. I guess if you don't knit continental, I should show you the other way. So if you knit with your right hand, you hold the tail in your left. Get ready to knit. Pick up the yarn. Okay. I'm just holding it, but it's held. And then you can knit your first row of 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's attached. Good. And now you can see the balls back there. I'm going to drop the tail. I'm going to pick up my new color and pass it under everything. And it comes out at the right. And I still have it clenched in my hand somehow. Hang on, here we go. So it is a little bit of crowd control to have all of them stay attached to your project the whole time. But in my mind, it is better to do that than to have to sew in all those ends. So it's really up to you what you prefer. Okay, so I've already wrapped the ball around, passed the ball around the strands counterclockwise, but I forgot to slip my stitches to the left. So I'm going to slip them back to the left-hand needle. Okay, I've got my ball ready to knit with. This time I'm going to find that tail, and I'm going to start to weave it in as I go as well. So I'm just going to flip it over to the left and start knitting with the ball yarn. Okay. And I'm gonna rearrange how I'm holding it because it's weird with the video. And it's probably a better video if I just do what I'm comfortable with. Okay, here we go. And then I flip the tail to the right and I knit the next stitch on the double I-cord, but I flip the tail to the left and knit the next stitch. But you don't have to start to weave in the tail in the I-cord. You could wait till after knitting those 3 stitches and start over here on the first stitch. So flip the tail to the right and knit one, flip the tail to the left, goodness, and knit one. Okay, flip the tail to the right and knit one, to the left and knit one, and so on. Here we go. So I'm not going to pause it here because I want to show you what the I-cord is looking like behind there. So basically what happens is you get all these yarns coming out, but they kind of seem to come out. See, there's already a little tube forming there, and you can see the little strands where you've like brought the yarn from behind the 3 stitches from the inside edge and then started knitting the outside edge. That's why you want to give the first 2 stitches a nice tug. But this is normal, it's what it looks like. It'll wrap around them all, especially when you block it, the tube really closes, and so it should look like all the yarns are kind of coming out the top like this. And they'll keep doing that all the way up through the edge of the whole project, so that you never have to cut your yarns and rejoin them later on. All your colors are always available to you throughout the whole project. And you won't have, actually, once you've got these ends woven in from the very beginning, like the tails where we attach the yarns, then that's it. Like, this is all the weaving in you'll have to do, unless your yarn breaks and you need to attach more yarn later. But like at the end of the shawl, you'll find that the only tails you have left to actually sew in are the first one and the very last one, because everything else will be tucked neatly at the cord edge. Okay, so throughout this entire project, there's always going to be this slip 3 with yarn and back at the end of the right side rows, and then purl 3. So I have my yarn in front because I'm about to purl 3, and then in the pattern you'll notice not every row has a double I-cord, because it isn't necessary for every stitch pattern. What I've done is I've actually spaced it out so that usually it's most often going to be every other row or every other set of 2 rows that you do the double I-cord, and then on the off ones you'll just do 1 row of I-cord at the beginning and end of each of the rows. So just, you know, pay attention to the pattern and make sure, oh, I've got some of the tail. Look at that. I've woven in my tail and created a stitch. So this is a stitch I want to keep, and that's the tail that doesn't belong. I'm just gonna drop that off. See, it was the tail, and then I can carry on here. Okay, so that's the detailed instructions of making the double I-cord edge and joining in the yarns and scooping up the yarns and passing the ball counterclockwise around all the strands. If you have any questions, you can ask me, like tag me on Instagram at Anitika, or you can go to my Ravelry group. I haven't used it in a long time, but I will be checking it again, because if you want to ask me questions there, feel free. And of course, you're welcome to answer each other's questions if I'm being too slow for some reason. Like, that's wonderful. I think we learn by teaching others, so have at it. Okay, thanks for joining me in the knit along, and I will see you later with the next tutorial video, whatever it might be. Happy knitting!